I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd wait decades for revenge. Not me. But there's something about betrayal that sticks in your chest, like a thorn you can't pull out no matter how hard you try. I guess it all started in the summer of '72, when I was 24, fresh out of the army and still carrying the smell of gunpowder on my skin. I'd just moved back to my hometown, a small place where everybody knew your business before you even open your mouth. I took a job at the steel mill, and life seemed simple enough. That's when I met Linda. She was everything I wasn't, outspoken, fiery, and somehow magnetic. We hit it off right away. I know it sounds cliche, but the first time she laughed at one of my dumb jokes, I felt like I'd won a lottery I didn't even know I'd bought a ticket for. Things move fast. A few months in, I bought a small apartment and we moved in together. I thought I had it all. A steady job, a beautiful woman, and a future that smelled of promise. But promises are fragile things. And Linda, she had a way of hiding the sharp edges of her heart. I didn't see it coming, not at first. One night I stayed late at the mill, overtime, just trying to save a little extra money. And when I got home, the front door was slightly ajar. That should have been my first warning. But I laughed it off, thinking maybe I'd just left it unlocked. Then I heard voices in the kitchen. My stomach dropped. I froze at the threshold. There they were, Linda and Mark, my so-called best friends since high school. They didn't even notice me at first. The way she leaned into him, the way he laughed, I don't even think I knew people could betray you that smoothly. My world went quiet. Everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty vanished in a heartbeat. I didn't say a word that night. I walked away. I rented a tiny room above a diner for a few weeks, eating cold sandwiches and watching people live lives I felt I'd been cheated out of. And I waited. I waited years. I buried myself in work and building my own life away from that town. I met other women, had flings, even a serious relationship or two. But no one could erase the memory of her, or the sting of betrayal. I didn't know if I wanted revenge or just to prove I could survive. Maybe both. Then, one late afternoon, almost 20 years later, I got a call. The steel mill had shut down, and a retirement party was happening for the old crew. Everyone was coming back for one last toast. Part of me didn't want to go, but the other part, that part that never forgot, that part that wanted to see justice in some form, it made me say yes. Walking into that old hall, I saw him first, Mark, grayer now, still puffing out his chest like he was some kind of king. And then, Linda. She looked tired. Not just old, but tired in the way people look when they finally realized life isn't going to bend to their whims. I felt something twist inside me. Not sympathy. Not yet. But something like it. I didn't go up to him immediately. I watched from across the room, remembering the nights I spent wondering if I'd ever get a chance to set things right. And then it hit me. I didn't need to humiliate them in front of the crowd, didn't need to shout or yell. Revenge, I realized, didn't have to be messy. It could be quiet, personal, perfect. I slipped a little envelope onto Mark's table when everyone was distracted, laughing, telling war stories, drinking cheap beer. And inside, I left a single line. I saw everything, and I survived. Hope you see what you lost. No signature, no hint of who I was. Just enough for him to wonder, to doubt, to feel that gnawing uncertainty I'd lived with all those years. Linda left town the next week. I don't know where she went. Don't want to. Mark, he never mentioned it. But the best part? I felt free. Not because they suffered, but because I had released the poison in my chest. I realized revenge isn't about making them pay. It's about proving to yourself that you can endure, that you don't need them to define your happiness. These days I live quietly. I fish, I garden, I spend time with my grandkids. Sometimes, when I'm sitting on my porch with a cup of coffee and the sun low on the horizon, I think about that summer, about betrayal, about the sharp edges of love. And I smile, because life has this funny way of giving you the last word, not by shouting, but by simply living well. The thing I've learned, maybe too late, is this. Revenge tastes sweetest when you've moved past it, when the anger doesn't burn you anymore, when the memory doesn't hurt like it used to. And in that quiet, in that stillness, you finally see that the life you built after the betrayal, that's the real triumph. Because in the end, the people who hurt us don't get the last word. We do.
It had been almost a year since that retirement party, and I thought I'd finally put Linda and Mark out of my mind. I told myself I was done, that the envelope had been my closure. Life was quiet, predictable in a good way. My mornings were for coffee and the sunrise, my afternoons for tending the garden, my evenings for old westerns on TV. Simple, calm, almost boring. But then came the letter. I found it slipped under my front door one morning. No stamp, no return address, just my name, written in a shaky, almost familiar hand. I tore it open with hands that trembled more than I liked to admit. You think you won, but some debts don't die so easily. Meet me at the old pier, 7 p.m. tonight, alone. For a second, I froze. My mind raced through possibilities. Was it Mark? Some old friend of his? Or was it Linda? The thought made my stomach turn, and I realized I was still, after all these years, tangled up in them. The envelope wasn't signed, but the handwriting. It hit me somewhere deep, a memory of her scrawl from that long-ago betrayal. I debated ignoring it. Part of me wanted to run, pretend I never saw it. But curiosity, that dangerous companion, got the better of me. By 6:30, I was walking down the cracked boards of the pier, the sky turning a bruised shade of purple as the sun sank low. There she was, Linda, alone. Older, yes, but not broken. Something harder gleamed in her eyes, the kind of hardness that only comes from living a long time with your mistakes. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at me, and I could feel the years of anger and regret between us like a tangible wall. "I didn't expect you to come," she finally said, her voice low, almost trembling. "I didn't expect to see you here either," I replied, keeping my tone even. She took a shaky breath. I've been trying to make amends in my own way. Mark, he didn't deserve what I did. Neither did you." I laughed bitterly, a sound I didn't recognize. "You have no idea what I've carried because of you two. No idea how many nights I lay awake thinking about how perfect life could have been if I'd just been enough." She nodded, tears welling. "I know, I can't undo it. I can't fix the past, but I can face it. I can try to make it right, even if it's just to say I'm sorry." Something inside me shifted. Years of fury, of quiet, simmering revenge. It didn't vanish instantly, but the weight of it began to lift. I realized revenge wasn't about them suffering. It was about holding on to power over your own life. And maybe this was part of that power. I didn't just survive. I learned. I built a life I can be proud of. And in some strange way, seeing you here, admitting it, maybe that's the last piece I needed to let go. She smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and sorrow. "I hoped you'd say that." We stood there for a long time, watching the water, the waves gently hitting the pier, the sky fading into night. The silence wasn't heavy. It was full of years we had lost, full of lessons, full of understanding we didn't have when we were young. Before I left, she said something that made me pause. "I can't change the past, but maybe we can at least stop poisoning our present. We're not that young anymore. Maybe it's time to forgive ourselves." And that's exactly what I did. Not for her, not for Mark, but for me. Because revenge can feel satisfying for a moment. But forgiveness sets you free. I walked home that night with the salty wind on my face, thinking about all the roads I could have taken, all the battles I could have raged, and all the simple mornings I almost missed because I was too busy hating. Life has a strange way of giving second chances, even if they come decades late. And I realized finally that the best revenge isn't about making someone pay. It's about making yourself whole. Because after all, you can spend your life chasing ghosts, or you can choose to live.